Picture day 90. Your life is not magically complete. Every problem has not vanished. But before you lies something more valuable than another promise, a visible record. 90 days of marks, misses, returns, and completed actions. That record will either support what you have claimed to be or contradict it. Ambition is loud at the beginning. It speaks with force when the plan is new, the emotion is high, and the future feels close. But identity is not revealed in the declaration. It is revealed when the action becomes repetitive, inconvenient, interrupted, and unseen. Ordinary conditions expose extraordinary claims. This is not an attack on your worth. It is an examination of a pattern, the habit of making a promise, feeling the first resistance, and reopening the decision. Enthusiasm declines, so the terms change. The schedule tightens, so the standard disappears. Then another fresh start arrives, carrying the same hope and the same escape route. Enough. For the next 90 days, you will conduct a finite test. You will choose one aim. You will name one identity capable of carrying that aim. You will define exactly 3 non-negotiable actions under your control. You will record daily proof, review the evidence each week, follow clear recovery rules when you miss, and complete a final review on day 90. One contract, one record, no mythology. The finite horizon matters. A video built around this framing reached 26,317 views above the corpus median. That shows interest in a bounded challenge. It does not prove that 90 days change behavior. Attention is not transformation. Only conduct can supply that evidence. And 90 days cannot decide your entire life. They can do something narrower and more honest, expose what indefinite resolutions conceal. They can reveal whether you execute when the reward is delayed, whether you return after a breach, and whether your chosen identity survives an ordinary Tuesday. 90 days do not guarantee transformation. They force aspiration to face evidence. So the first question is not how intensely you want to change. It is this: which one aim matters enough to test, and who must you choose to become in order to carry it? Begin with the aim, not 5 aims disguised as balance, not a complete reinvention of your body, work, finances, relationships, and character compressed into one season. Choose one primary direction for this contract. Your other responsibilities will continue. Your other ambitions may be written down and reserved for later, but they do not enter these 90 days. Singularity is not neglect, it is concentration. Now separate the aim from the identity. The aim names where the effort is directed or what results you intend to pursue. The identity names the kind of person whose repeated conduct moves in that direction. One gives the work a destination. The other tells you who must show up to perform it. Suppose an aspiring creator chooses this aim. Complete and submit a manuscript that is specific enough to direct effort, but it is not yet an identity. The identity might be, I am a working writer who produces, improves, and ships the work. Notice the verbs: produces, improves, ships. Those words can be demonstrated. They can generate obligations. They can be examined at the end of a day without requiring applause, permission, or a favorable opinion from someone else. The writer can promise to complete the manuscript and submit it. The writer cannot promise acceptance, publication, praise, or commercial success. Submission is conduct. Acceptance belongs to another person. This distinction protects the contract from fantasy. You are not choosing the identity of successful because success says nothing about what you do today. You are not choosing powerful or disciplined merely because the words feel impressive. Without behavior, they are decorations. A usable identity must tell you what this person begins, what this person finishes, what this person protects, what this person practices, or what this person delivers. Identity is not a title you claim. It is a standard of conduct you can demonstrate. Write one sentence. Start with I am, then complete it with observable verbs. If the sentence depends upon recognition, rewrite it. If it contains 3 different lives competing for attention, narrow it. If it flatters you but cannot instruct you, discard it. Choose the identity that performs the work. not the label that celebrates the result. Now you have one aim and one person to practice being, but language can still be quietly altered when resistance arrives. So the next task is to place that sentence inside written boundaries that tomorrow's mood cannot redefine. Take the identity sentence you have chosen and place it at the top of a single page. Beneath it, write the one aim this identity will pursue. Everything that follows must serve that direction. If a rule does not help you practice the identity or advance the aim, it does not belong in the contract. Now, establish the boundary. Write the exact date you begin and the exact date that marks day 90. This is not a permanent sentence imposed upon your future. It is a finite experiment with a defined moment of judgment. You are agreeing to perform the test long enough to produce a record. Then examine that record honestly. Next, write 3 reasons. Why does this aim matter now? What will continued avoidance cost you? Whom or what will the completed effort serve? Do not write slogans. Write answers strong enough to confront you when the work becomes inconvenient and the original excitement is gone. Then build the rest of the page. Reserve 3 blank lines for exactly 3 daily non-negotiable actions. Add a place for the daily proof ledger. Schedule 1 weekly evidence review appointment. State the recovery rules that will govern a missed action. Reserve the final space for the day 90 audit. Aim, identity, dates, reasons, 3 actions, daily proof, weekly review, recovery, final judgment. The entire architecture belongs on one page because scattered commitments are easily edited by selective memory. Define legitimate exceptions before you need one. Safety, illness, emergencies, and genuine impossibility may require adaptation. Boredom does not. Discomfort does not. A difficult schedule does not automatically release you, and the contract must never contain punitive, reckless, or self-destructive demands. It governs conduct. It grants no permission to cause harm. Can a term change? Yes, but not while resistance is speaking through you. A term may be revised only through a written review when it has proved unsafe, impossible, ambiguous, or clearly misaligned with the chosen aim. Record what changed, why it changed, and when the new term begins. No secret edits. No convenient reinterpretation halfway through a difficult day. Finally, sign and date the page. The signature performs no magic. It simply ends accidental ambiguity. Preference becomes obligation. The terms are now visible, and your mood no longer holds sole authority to rewrite them. But look at the 3 empty lines. Until they contain actions that can be performed under ordinary conditions, the signed page is still ceremonial. The next test is to fill those lines without creating an escape hatch. Those 3 empty lines are not an invitation to list every admirable habit you could adopt. They are the operating system of the contract. 3 is not a scientific law. It is a deliberate constraint. Enough actions to form a working system, few enough to remember, schedule, and judge without using complexity as concealment. Give each action a different job. The first action must produce direct progress toward the aim. It makes, completes, practices, contacts, submits, or delivers something that did not exist before. The second must prepare or strengthen your capacity to continue. It may organize the next step, revise existing work, rehearse a necessary skill, or arrange the materials required for tomorrow. The third must protect the work from a predictable form of sabotage. It removes an interruption, establishes a boundary, or blocks a behavior that repeatedly fractures your attention. Produce, prepare, protect. Now test every proposed action against 4 demands. Is it under your control? Is it relevant to the single aim? Can completion be observed? Can the day end with an honest yes or no? Make meaningful progress fails because its meaning can change after the fact. Work when possible fails because possibility becomes negotiable. An action must tell you exactly what counts before you begin. Then define the minimum viable completion for each action. This is not the smallest motion you can perform while pretending to comply. It is the smallest version that still creates genuine progress. Set it now while you are calm. Do not invent it at the hour of resistance. Your maximum displays enthusiasm. Your minimum reveals a standard you can defend. You may exceed the minimum. Good. But extra effort on one action does not erase the quiet omission of another. 2 hours of production cannot purchase permission to ignore preparation or protection. Each line carries its own obligation. Attach every action to a time, a place, or a preceding event. After breakfast, at the desk before messages are opened, immediately after the protected work period. Later is not a schedule. It is where clear intentions go to disappear. Now place each action inside an ordinary bad day. Your energy is reduced. The schedule changes. A response you need is delayed. The environment becomes noisy. Can you still perform the minimum without danger or genuine impossibility? If not, simplify the logistics. Shorten the block, prepare materials in advance, choose an alternate location, or define a backup time. But do not simplify until the action becomes meaningless. A survivable standard must still move the aim. For the working writer, the 3 lines might read, complete 1 defined drafting block after breakfast. Complete 1 defined preparation or revision block before ending the workday. Place the phone outside the workspace for the entire protected work period. The first produces pages. The second strengthens what has been produced or prepares the next advance. The third protects attention. Each is controllable. Each is visible. Each can be judged without interpretation. Then stop. Do not add a 4th action. Because a new idea feels urgent, put it on a post-contract list. It may enter only when safety requires it or a formal review proves that an existing term is invalid. Novelty does not outrank the agreement. You now know what must be done, but performed work can still dissolve into flattering memory unless each day leaves evidence. The next task is to give every action a visible mark. 3 actions, 3 daily decisions, 1 identity under examination. Take the 3 actions and give each one a permanent place in a proof ledger. This ledger is the witness of the contract. It is not a diary of what you hope to do, and it is not a courtroom in which your worth is prosecuted. Its purpose is narrower. To preserve what happened before, mood and memory begin revising the facts. Create 1 row for each date. Create 1 column for each of the 3 actions. In every column, enter an unambiguous yes or no. Not almost, not mostly, not I tried. The agreed minimum was either completed or it was not. Beside those columns, add 1 short proof field. Record the artifact or trace the work left behind. Pages produced, a save file, a completed session, a scheduled deliverable, or whatever visible evidence fits your aim. The proof need not be dramatic. It must be specific enough to connect the mark, to conduct, set a fixed closing time each day. At that hour, while the facts remain available, complete the row. Do not wait until the weekly review and reconstruct 7 flattering days from memory. Intention has a way of borrowing the appearance of action. Effort can feel complete when no obligation was actually met. Record first. Interpret later. Keep the 3 actions separate. If 2 were completed and 1 was missed, write yes, yes, no. Do not blend them into a general impression of a good day. Do not allow exceptional effort in 1 column to purchase an exemption in another. The ledger protects the distinct terms you chose. You may add 1 concise context note when circumstances matter. Schedule disrupted, illness emerging, equipment unavailable. But the note follows the mark. It never replaces it. Explanation may help you understand the event. It cannot convert no into yes. For the working writer, 1 row might show yes for the drafting block, yes for the preparation or revision block, and no for the protected phone period. The proof field might record the day's page count and link the saved draft. The entry remains useful precisely because it refuses to call partial compliance complete. Then close the row with 1 factual identity sentence. Today the contract was kept. Today the contract was partly kept. Or, today the contract was breached and is awaiting recovery. No insult, no inflated praise. A verdict on conduct, not on human value. Do not worship an unbroken streak. A streak can encourage continuity, but once idolized, it makes one damaged day feel like permission to erase the record or abandon the test. Preserve the miss. Preserve the return. Honest recovery will eventually reveal more than a perfect-looking line manufactured by concealment. What is recorded can instruct you. What is merely remembered can flatter you. Daily marks reveal events, but 7 days placed together reveal something larger, a pattern. That pattern must be heard, examined, and used to prepare the next week. Now widen your view. 1 day can look accidental. 7 days reveal recurrence. Before the contract begins, schedule 1 weekly evidence review appointment and protect it. This is not a fourth daily action. It is the system's fixed hour for converting daily marks into deliberate preparation. Begin with arithmetic. Count each action separately. Completions out of 7 for produce, prepare, and protect. Then inspect the supporting artifacts. Do not ask whether the week felt productive. Feeling summarizes poorly. Count the marks. Open the files. Examine the trace. Move through 5 questions in order. What was completed? What evidence exists? Where did the pattern break? What controllable condition contributed? What will be prepared before the next occurrence? The order matters. Facts come before interpretation. Interpretation comes before correction. A late meeting, a family demand, or an equipment failure may explain why an action was missed. Record that condition truthfully, but explanation is not exemption. The agreed action remains incomplete, and the useful question becomes, what part of the next response is under your control? Perhaps you need an earlier time, a backup location, a visible reminder, a different sequence, or more preparation before the day begins. Repair the conditions when repair is possible. Do not weaken the identity standard merely to produce a more attractive score. A cleaner record created by lowering every inconvenient demand proves very little. Consider the working writer's ledger. Drafting and revision may be consistently completed while phone protection is missed 4 times. I lack discipline sounds severe, but it solves nothing. The pattern may show that the phone stayed nearby because messages were checked immediately before the protected period or because no place had been chosen for it. That is actionable. Establish where the phone will go, when it will be placed there, and what will replace any necessary access. The review turns accusation into design. Then write 1 weekly evidence statement. What conduct proved the chosen identity? What challenged it? And what specific preparation will defend the coming week? Keep it concise and exact. Production and preparation were completed on 6 days. Protection failed repeatedly when the work period followed message checking. Next week, the phone will be placed in another room before the drafting materials are opened. Now preview the next 7 days. Identify known demands. Decide in advance when and where each action will occur. Prepare alternate times for foreseeable disruption without secretly rewriting the minimum. Preserve every weekly statement with the ledger. On day 90, the final judgment must rest on the full record, not the mood of the final week. Your worth is not on trial. Your system is under examination. And as the weeks accumulate, the pattern will expose the true opponent, the ordinary resistance that arrives when the dream no longer feels new. That resistance is rarely dramatic. It arrives as boredom. Reward remains delayed. Nobody notices the effort. The schedule presses against the appointed hour. Someone interrupts. A newer goal suddenly appears more exciting than the one you signed your name beneath. Nothing has collapsed. The work has simply lost its shine, and the old habit sees an opportunity to renegotiate. Read the condition correctly. Resistance is not a mystical signal that you are advancing, and it is not automatic proof that your plan is wise. A poor contract can feel difficult. A sound contract can feel difficult. The feeling settles nothing. Compare the moment with the written terms. Is the action still safe, possible, clear, and aligned with the aim? If yes, the contract answers the question. Here the conflict becomes visible. The obsolete identity waits for favorable feelings, then calls the delayed discernment. The chosen identity consults the next contracted action, not the entire remaining season, not the imagined burden of every future repetition. The next action. This is why you decided the minimum in advance. When predictable inconvenience appears, reduce the work to that valid minimum, protect the scheduled place, use the alternate time or prepared environment already named. Then begin before conducting another internal debate. Do not ask boredom to approve a decision boredom did not make. Action under inconvenience. Action without applause. Action before renewed negotiation. Quiet repetition is not the dull interval between meaningful moments. It is where the identity claim finally becomes informative. Novelty can carry almost anyone for a short distance. Visibility can improve effort. Immediate reward can make discipline unnecessary. But when those supports withdraw and the agreed conduct continues, your ledger records something aspiration alone could never establish. The standard is beginning to govern behavior. This does not require rigidity. Pain, danger, illness, emergency, or genuine impossibility are not ordinary resistance in disguise. They activate the safety and review clauses you wrote into the contract. Adapt honestly. Stop when safety requires it. Review what has become impossible. Mature steadiness does not demand recklessness. Now picture yourself several weeks from today. Not flawless, not permanently inspired. You are holding a ledger with completed actions, honest exceptions, difficult days, and visible proof. You have fewer unanswered questions about whether you can rely on yourself when the work becomes quiet. That is earned confidence. Not certainty about every outcome, but evidence about your conduct. The contract becomes meaningful when the action is no longer exciting, but is still yours to perform. Yet preparation cannot prevent every breach. Eventually, one action or one entire day may be missed. Then comes the question perfectionism fears most. After the record says no, what do you do next? First, separate what perfectionism tries to fuse. A missed action is a breach of the contract. Abandoning the contract is another decision entirely. The first may happen through error, interruption, or poor preparation. The second happens when you use that breach as permission to disappear. Do not smuggle abandonment into a missed day and call it inevitable. Mark the miss on the day it occurs. Write no. Preserve the date. Do not backdate a completion. Average the effort across several days, or redefine the minimum after the evidence has arrived. The record must remain true before it can become useful. Then follow the return sequence in order. First, record the miss. Second, name the immediate cause without turning the explanation into a defense. Third, preserve the next scheduled trigger. Do not cancel tomorrow because today went poorly. Fourth, remove one obstacle under your control. Change the reminder, prepare the materials, protect the time, or repair the environment. Fifth, resume at the next safe opportunity. Not when shame has faded. Not when motivation returns. At the next valid opening provided by the contract, you do not punish yourself. You do not double the next requirement, manufacture a heroic session, or demand repayment through exhaustion. Extra work cannot travel backward and convert no into yes. Recovery has a different purpose. It demonstrates that you can restore the standard without falsifying the breach. Keep the original end date. Do not declare another day one. Do not extend the contract merely to obtain a cleaner-looking record. A false restart offers emotional relief by erasing the very evidence this test was designed to produce. Day 90 remains. Day 90, if the same action is missed twice in succession, do not wait for the normal weekly appointment. Conduct an immediate written repair review. Ask whether the term is ambiguous, unsafe, genuinely impossible, or poorly supported by the schedule and environment. Clarify what counts. Correct a dangerous or invalid demand. Strengthen the trigger, backup time, preparation, or boundary. But do not call ordinary discomfort a defect in the contract simply because it appeared twice. Suppose the working writer misses the drafting block after an unprotected morning interruption consumes the appointed time. The writer records no, identifies the interruption, protects the next trigger, prepares the workspace, and blocks the following drafting period on the calendar. Then the writer resumes at that scheduled block. No artificial page quota, no late-night penance, no claim that the missed drafting occurred, just an honest return. This return belongs in the final evidence. The day 90 ledger must reveal more than how often you completed the three actions. It must also reveal what happened after you failed, whether you concealed, punished, vanished, or resumed. Reliability is not proved by never missing. It is proved by refusing to turn a miss into disappearance. Perfection demands an unbroken image. Identity requires a truthful return. Now the contract is recoverable without becoming soft. The next question is how to carry that same restored standard through the beginning, the middle, and the final stretch without changing the promise. Carry the recovery principle across the entire horizon. The 90 days have 3 operating seasons, but do not mistake them for scientifically guaranteed stages of change. They are planning emphasis 3 ways to direct attention, while the contract itself remains fixed. Days 1 through 30 emphasize obedience. Learn the schedule, follow the written triggers, discover whether any completion rule is genuinely ambiguous. Establish the discipline of truthful recording before you chase impressive output. Your task is not to prove that you have been permanently transformed in 1 month. Your task is to stop renegotiating what a completed day means. The escape route here is endless redesign. You keep improving the plan because improving it feels cleaner than obeying it. Resist that diversion. Unless safety or validity requires a formal written amendment, keep the identity, the aim, and the 3 actions stable. Days 31 through 60 emphasize durability. Novelty has weakened. Recurring friction is now visible. Use the weekly evidence to strengthen the environment around the same obligations. Prepare earlier. Protect the appointed time. Make the backup location usable. Remove the repeated interruption before it arrives. You are not replacing the standard. You are making its execution less dependent upon favorable conditions. The middle has its own escape route, unnecessary escalation. You add difficulty because the original minimum no longer feels dramatic. More time, more volume, more rules, stop. Difficulty is not proof of seriousness. The same meaningful actions repeated under changing conditions reveal more than theatrical strain. Days 61 through 90 emphasize ownership and completion. Perform without borrowing energy from the excitement of a new challenge. Protect the final stretch from premature celebration. Assemble the ledger, proof artifacts, weekly statements, written amendments, and documented recoveries. Continue every daily action until day 90 closes. Nearness is not completion. For the working writer, the obligations do not change. During the first season, the writer establishes the drafting, preparation, or revision, and phone protection routines. During the second, those same blocks are defended through disruptions by better preparation and stronger boundaries. During the final season, the writer continues the blocks while finishing the manuscript and preparing it for submission. Different emphasis, same promise. At the end of each 30-day period, write 1 short checkpoint from evidence already collected. What was completed? What friction recurred? What support was strengthened? What must remain protected? Do not invent a new score. Do not declare that a milestone proves permanent change. A checkpoint directs the next season. It does not issue the final verdict. Now picture day 90 through tangible facts, completed actions, saved work, weekly statements, misses that remain visible, recoveries that were documented. An aim advanced by conduct rather than protected by fantasy. This is not a promise about who you might become. It is a record of what you repeatedly did. The season may change, the promise does not. Then day 90 ends. You complete the final row. You gather the evidence. You close the ledger. Do not celebrate a verdict you have not yet read. The record is ready. Now it must judge conduct, outcome, recovery, and what comes next. Open the original contract only after the final row is closed. Anticipation gets no vote. You do not improve the last entry because the ending is near, and you do not diminish it because the result disappoints you. The test is over. Now read what happened. Audit 5 categories separately. First, total the completions for each of the 3 actions. Second, confirm whether the weekly reviews were performed. Third, examine every documented recovery. How quickly did you return, and what did you repair? Fourth, inspect the artifacts the work produced. Fifth, measure progress toward the stated aim. Do not collapse these categories into one dramatic judgment. Conduct and outcome are related, but they are not identical. You may have repeatedly performed the chosen identity while an external decision remains unresolved. You may also have obtained the desired result through irregular conduct you cannot yet trust. An outcome can arrive without establishing a standard. A standard can become credible before the world delivers its answer. Now place the evidence beside the original aim, identity statement, reasons, and cost of avoidance. Ask, where did this identity become observable behavior? Where did it remain aspiration? Which obligations survived inconvenience? Which depended upon favorable conditions? What does the record establish, and what does it refuse to establish? Write one verdict: identity supported, identity partly supported, or identity not yet supported by the available record. Then cite the facts beneath it. Completion patterns, review consistency, recovery behavior, artifacts, aim progress. No grand declarations, no self-condemnation, specific evidence only. Then decide what follows. Carry a supported identity into a new aim. Repeat a repaired contract when execution was inconsistent, but the direction remains valid. Revise a term when the evidence proves it unsafe, impossible, ambiguous, or misaligned. Or close the experiment honestly when the aim no longer deserves another contract. Choose from the record, not from embarrassment or excitement. This is earned confidence, knowing what you repeatedly did, how you returned when you failed, and what you can now improve. It is not permanent perfection. It is a truthful claim with evidence behind it. Now begin. Choose one aim. Name the identity responsible for pursuing it. Define 3 controllable actions: produce, prepare, protect, set the dates, schedule the weekly reviews, prepare the ledger, write the recovery rules, sign the page, perform the first action. Do not wait for a cleaner morning. Draft the 1-page contract before the next distraction arrives. Replay or study this process if you need support, but do not mistake more listening for evidence. Write, schedule, sign, begin. Let the first proof exist today.